Thank you for the rose, Cassandra. I'm going to be here for shorter than usual today because I have things to do. All right, so YouTube is going. Hello, YouTube. Welcome to today's live stream. My name is Naima, founder of the Academy for Womanhood, where we help women grow up and become unapologetic women, become full women, become whole women. And as I briefly stated in a piece of content I just created, and I'll repeat it. Many women give birth to children. Many women get married. Many women move into and take care of beautiful homes and raise their children, and they're great mothers. And yet, so many of them are not actual women, the women they want to be truly in their marriage and their motherhood. They have not gotten to know themselves, the beautiful necessity of a woman getting to know her full self and being able to really play and explore in the world in a way that's just for her. And so I'd like to further this conversation today with this topic, your erotic creative power, your erotic creative power as a woman. And I like to talk about this through the body of the woman. If you are not already a subscriber, you can subscribe. So every Monday, I publish a newsletter. It's called the Erotic Path Newsletter. And it just went out this week. And the topic was vision pools. And I talked about this topic of vision pools through the lens of the woman's body, because the woman's body carries vision. The woman knows from the moment she's born to the moment she dies, a woman knows. The problem is so many of us start to trade our deep knowing, the part of us that has us, like if you can remember before puberty hit, right? Or maybe even at the very early stages of puberty, right? But you can remember 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, before hormones started going crazy, before your intuitiveness was entirely knocked out of you and killed, before you were trying to fit into what middle school tends to put on your growth without guidance. Like when you were before all that, right? And you knew things. Yes, you were a kid, right? Yes, there's a naivete and an ignorance. Yes. And still, you knew things. You weren't worried about you know, the things that we worry about when we're women with bills to pay and kids to raise and trying to lose 20 pounds, right? And, you know, as we get older, right? And in this case, when I say older, I mean going from elementary school to middle school. Let's start there before we start talking about full on womanhood, right? That stage from elementary school to middle school, when we start to look more like an adult person because our breasts now are starting to blossom. We were wearing just t-shirts and at 8, 9, and 10, and then puberty kicks, boom, and all of a sudden now we're having conversations about a bra, right? Your menstrual cycle starts, and now you got to be concerned about this bleeding thing, right? You got to start wearing these maxi pads or whatever it is that your mom tells you you need to wear. And the part of you that just knew things and was in a kind of perpetual flow and oneness with life, there's like this interruption of sorts because now people are talking to you differently. They have different expectations of you. They start to say things to you now, right? Men are starting to look at you different now because you look like a thing to have sex with now because you're growing breasts, right? Your ass, hips. So now the male gaze is starting to see you differently. And you're feeling all this, but nobody talks raw unless you happen to be raised by parents who talked raw with you. Nobody is talking raw to you about what a woman is, a full woman who hasn't been tainted by the pressures of what society says you're supposed to be or else, right? No one has talked to you raw before all that about the woman or the man, right? Like what the man is, like what boys are gonna do, how boys are. Like nobody talks to you at 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, honestly, in a way that a woman would, who's a woman raising a young girl to become a woman, right? Many of us have been raised by mothers who, right? Like if you're Gen X, your mom is still a part of that generation that leaned more toward not being who she is and just taking care of the home, right? If you're Gen X, most likely. If you're a boomer, Gen X, then if you're a millennial, this is where things started to change a bit more, right? And then Gen Z, obviously things are changing more and they will continue. And so when you start to get the messaging, no woman, your mom, then your grandma's probably, she might be talking to you like this. It depends on if grandma is dead, right? Because grandma talks real different when grandpa is dead or when she's just reached a certain stage where she's ready to be honest with her grandchildren, right? And when you start to get these messages, I'll get to you all's comments in a little while, right? When you start to get these messages that this is what makes you good, this is what gets you attention, this is what gets you a boyfriend, this is what makes you look nice and good and trustworthy, and this gets people saying mean things about you. This gets people not looking at you the same. This gets people treating you like this. And you start to notice that the things over here that get you the attention, the boyfriend, the opportunities, the invitations, are things that you do that are a facade of you, that are like the character you put on because you realize this gets you things. But when you're in your truest state, people don't seem to be too. So then you start to habituate being this character of yourself. And this starts young, right? This starts middle school when you realize them eighth grade girls is doing something else. And because you're new to middle school, right? This is whole new terrain for you at 12 years old in the sixth grade. Where I'm from, sixth grade is the beginning of middle school, okay, California. So you're sixth grade, you're still like elementary in the mind, right? But you're around these girls who got like full on breasts. They're like, seem to be like engaging with boys in a way that you haven't seen or like you haven't done. And then you start to see like where you don't fit and that's not you. But then if I smile, then I kind of get welcomed. And then if I do this, and we're being influenced by these things. And then you get older, let's say 13 now. 1 year is a big deal when you're 12, right? Bro, you're like, I am not 12. I'm 12 and a half. Remember that? I'm 12 and a half. Right. I am 13. Excuse me. No, I'm 12 and three quarters. Okay. And then, but so anyway, you start to notice I'm from the hood, right? And in the hood, the truth is, Black men, let's tell the truth, right? Black men start being very willing to have sex with you when you're 12, 13, 14, 15. If you physically look, like I said, with breasts and hips, they would come to my middle school. They would be, it's like they would just, they knew when we got out of school and they would just hover. They'd be like driving down the street, looking at you, pulling up while you walking, you a little 13-year-old thing with your backpack on with two other 13-year-olds, and they're driving slow, looking at you as you walk in, right? And this is happening at 13, 14, 15. I know we don't talk much about this publicly, but this is what's going on. So then you are getting older now, and humans want to survive. Humans want to survive. And when you notice that certain behaviors get you sort of unwelcome and not liked, you can see for yourself. You can see for those of you who have daughters, and even though today we're living in a different time, so it's not the same to compare today's high schools to the high schools in 1980 entirely, okay? Because it was just a different time, different culture. There was no social media in the 80s, this kind of a thing, okay? But when you realize certain behaviors get you welcome, get attention on you, girl or boy, you start to habituate more of those behaviors, even if it's not your normal behavior. And so what happens is for a woman, we start to trade more and more who we really are to get invited to the dance, to get the boyfriend, to get the attention, to seem cool, to fit in. And it seems innocent when you're 13, 14, 15, right? It's just like this is what we do as young people. But what happens is this usually translates into adulthood. And whether you go to college or not, you get to 21, 22, 23. And by the time you get up around here, people are now looking at you more so as a woman, even if you've never thought so much about this. Like in middle school, you weren't thinking about sex, but those 25-year-old men were. Okay. Shit, the 16-year-olds are looking at you as a thing to stick their dick in. Okay. And so things that you perhaps were not thinking about, like if you don't act this way, you're not going to get a husband. And all of a sudden you're like, so, right? You start looking and thinking, like, oh, 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 so this is the way to get a husband? Oh, act like this. And that way will be a way that's not who you really are. Like, there's so many, I don't have much time to, right, go nuance today, but for any of you who either are married or have been married, just think about the ways that you have not expressed yourself. You have held back in the name of, because I know his ego isn't going to like that. Well, because I just want peace in the house. Well, because this gets me this, or because that, right? And so it's a constant trade off, typically starting when we're young. And then what happens is the thing that we're trading is our true essence. We're constantly trading our true essence to get a crumb of something, some fleeting attention from somebody. We trade it to get this thing is, whatever the thing is, not realizing that our creative force, our essence, our true self is what gives us the fuel to have what we most want in life, which is what? True love, not the kind of love that we trade who we really are to get this idea of love. We want true connection, not the kind of connection that's based on me being this kind of woman because this kind of woman makes you liked. And even though it's not really me, at least you like it. You pay the bills when I act like this. You give me what I want when I act like this. When I play a smaller, pretend version of myself, he feels like a man when I act like this and I change my voice and I do like this and I act like that, right? And the whole time you trade your essence for the full love that you actually want. And the love you want him to give you, he cannot give you. Because, first of all, you can't even receive it because you're not being the full you that can receive love. You can only receive the appearance of love in the form of your food is good, you're a super mom. And like all these compliments that are based on the fake version of you, the lacking wholeness of you, the lack of fulfillment of you. And so you engage in this sort of transactional trade off for however long you're in that relationship, right? Whether he's a boyfriend, long term boyfriend, or a husband. And then when you get up around It varies, right? Because if you got kids, you'll hang around a lot longer. But once you get up in them 30s, the mid 30s, them late 30s, and what happens is because you've traded your essence, it's literally like you're here when you're 11. You are like creative, you ready to go. Your erotic creative powers on 100. You see, you know, you're inspired, you're curious, you go, you flow, you dance, you play, you da 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 da. You don't even think about manifesting. You are magically manifesting all the time. You get what you want, you say what you mean, you da 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 da, right? And you're like this. And when you start trading your essence to get a husband, to get a job, to get this, you literally go from 100 and then you trade something and you drop. You trade your true voice and then you drop. Your life force essence connection drops. Then you trade because when I give him my voice like this, I get the bills paid. When I trade what I actually want to get him to feel like a man, I give him this. I give him my true self. I trade my true self. I trade my real voice. I trade my true desire. I trade what I really think and feel, all the while reducing your creative power, reducing your magnetism, reducing your authentic voice and your ability to create like this. Then you wake up at 37 and you've been meaning to write that book for 10 years, but I just can't get the book. Or you write the book, but it never sells. I really want to create content and talk about this, but I just can't get myself to do it. Or it's just such a struggle and so much resistance around it. I can't be consistent. Thank you for all those hearts, Alicia. I can't be consistent. It's just, you know what I mean? Suddenly it's like your back is hurting now. And you got sciatica all up and through. And you having migraines. And lo and behold, you find out you got cancer. And you resenting your husband. He pay all the bills. He doing all the things that the system says makes a good man. But lo and behold, half the time you don't even want to sleep in the bed with him. What's going on here? Why am I so tired, exhausted all the time? I can't get my creative projects off the ground. I'm resentful. I seem to be so quick to anger. What is happening here? I did everything that they said made a good woman. I had done everything right. I'm raising my kids. I'm cooking. I'm cleaning. Is this what's going on the inside or not? Oh, but you smiling? Girl, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. You traded your full essence, your full voice, who you really are, to get your mortgage paid, to live in a nice house in the suburbs, for him to call you my wife, for you to be able to cook and clean and be a woman, and for you to get that shallow, temporary satisfaction of feeling like I did right. Unsustainable feeling of I got a husband. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Yet and still, your heart is weeping, you're weary, you either have active or dormant cancer in your body. You full of resentment. You're looking at other women who are child free and liberated, calling them names in your head. You realizing, I didn't realize I was signing up for this. Why somebody didn't tell me I was signing up for this? That this is what it was going to look like in 15 years. You traded who you really are to get your mortgage paid. Wow. You traded the fullness of your womanhood to get the bills paid. Oh, so how do you get free? There's so many ways to get free. Listen, start telling the truth. Start there. Go have an honest conversation with your husband. Honest. The kind that would hurt his feelings, that would have him realize that you've been lying for the last 15 years, that you haven't been showing even 20% of who you really are. That all of this time you've been trying to hold it together for the family, and holding it together has brought cancer to you. You have been trying to hold it together to protect his ego because y'all have children, and now you full of resentment and you angry, and you're getting older and you can't afford to hold on to this anger anymore. You want to get your creative projects off the ground. Like you want to feel what it feels like to actually be who you are as an adult, because you're 40 freaking 5 years old and don't know who you are. You're scared of yourself. You're scared of the truth of yourself. You're scared that if you tell the truth, your marriage won't last because it's riding on your inauthenticity. The marriage is riding on your inauthenticity. So, first of all, I have about 5 minutes to go. If you want a hot, sharp solution right now, you need to get my Heal Your Witch Wound. I made this for all the women who were telling me they couldn't afford shadow gold, because I strongly recommend shadow gold. But I made this affordable course. It's $197 that's going to help you start to be true, free, and get your creative projects off the ground. The little bit of you that you do know, right? Because we know that you are married, long-term relationship, or you may not be married. You may not be in a long-term relationship, but you know you have not gotten to know yourself for real. And you can see where you're scared. You play small. You're still trying to appeal to other people's gaze. Okay? My Heal Your Witch Wound is going to help you get free. Heal Your Witch Wound. Go to the link in my bio right now and get it. Now is the time to also ask me questions, because like I said, I have about, I don't know, my battery is on 5%, so I'm here until my battery goes. Okay, so that might be about 5 more minutes. Who has questions about healing your witch wound? Put them in the comments now. Let me say this. What is it about this Heal Your Witch Wound? Every woman, every single woman who we know who's been visible, we know this even happens in everyday life with women who are not visible, but when we look at women historically, we don't have to go back far. Any woman who we see in the public space who is being a kind of true power, especially when we start putting your taboo self in the front, your sexual self, your erotic self, the part of you that energetically you're vibrating like that of a 9 year old, right? So, what is a 9 year old? They lean in, they play, they smile, they interact, they communicate, they touch. There's none of this like, well, I can't do that because they're going to do that, or I must, mm-mm. And when you take that kind of energy and behavior into a woman who's 35, it looks like Jezebel energy, but only because she's 35. Okay. If you take that same energy and put it into a 7 year old, it looks cute. It's like, oh, hi, how you doing? We smile, we cooperate, we get in on it with them because they're younger. The more we can return to the innocence of who we are, and please know your primal self is the most innocent of you. I have a niece who's 3. She walks around the house with panties and nothing else, hair out, and she's just, I'm talking about, she's jumping. She comes, she wants to kiss me in the mouth. Give me a hug. Where you going? I don't know. What are you doing, auntie? She grabs at me. She wants to sit in my lap. She wants to lean on my chest. She wants to Get involved. Yeah. But if you put that behavior in a 45-year-old woman, she looks like a crazy, wild woman. But that's actually who we are deep inside. And what has happened is when we start trading to get a husband to pay the mortgage, you get the mortgage paid, but you're miserable. You're in the big house in the suburbs, but you don't want to be there. Yeah. Yes, no. I see the comments saying this is so real. The you before society got to us. Exactly. So you're welcome. How do I get out of self doubting? Someone said here, how do I get out of self doubting? Let me look at more of these comments before my battery goes completely. No more protecting people's egos. I live my truth and awaken to my power because I've been true to myself and told the truth. That is it, baby. And I did it at 20. Blessed be. Absolutely. You are so effing real. Feeling like you can't breathe. 100%. Alicia, shout out to Alicia for all the hearts. So, someone said, how do I get out of self doubting? So, you self doubt when you're not truly connected with your primal erotic creative power. This is why I'm recommending Heal Your Witch Wound. It's $197. Go to the link in my bio to get it. You're going to have it sent to you. Oh, my battery just died. You're going to have it sent to you immediately. So let me finish over here on YouTube. I should have told them that they can come over here for the replay. So that was for YouTube. Hello, YouTube. I see y'all. The how do I get over self-doubting? And this, oh, this is what I didn't talk about, but I'll say a little bit about it right now, is when on a physical plane, it's good. What do I mean by good? The worldly level of good or basic good, meaning you live in the house. So housing is covered. Somebody buys your food. So food is covered, right? You got your basic needs met, right? And you have a husband. So obviously this is for, or even if you don't, right? Let's say either or. Let's say you don't have children, the husband, the appearance of like the American dream, but you have the other version of success for women, which is you make your own money, especially if you make really good money. You have all the wonderful material things. You travel, you look good, you're just right, you're child free, you got the freedom. So that is good on the material plane, meaning most people will look at you and even you look at yourself and you're like, I'm good. Like, I'm good. And society is very accepting of good. It's habituated. So there's a reason why there's a separation between people who live good lives and people who live exceptional lives. To get to an exceptional life, you do exceptional things. But oftentimes, we're as women, when we're talking about our creative power, we don't do exceptional things until we get deep down into who we are. Because we can make more money, we can travel some more, we can do more external things that appear like success. But only we know when we aren't touching that root, primal, erotic, creative of us. Heal your witch won't get you down into that. One of the chief exercises that women find so much transformation and value is coming, identifying your taboo self, that which makes you unlovable, unliked by society. I say half of it is the you that you were before you started trading who you are because the cool girls got this. And people don't talk to me when I'm like withdrawn the way I like to be. So you start over talking and you become this fake extrovert, like this kind of stuff, right? Who are you underneath all that? So if you have creative projects you need to get off the ground, if there's a really deep, raw, primal you that you want to start to practice being out in the world, and this is going to take practice. I want to say more about this at another time, but that lives out in the world in a way where you actually can be in relationship with it without feeling like you need to hide and run. This sort of way that we want to do it, but we keep We won't step to the plate and really admit and do it consciously, deliberately to get to the other side. It's this sort of whiny, almost like not willing to take it seriously for whatever the reason is that we won't take it seriously. I'll be alone. People won't like me. Does it really matter? Well, my life is good anyway. Like all that. Okay. So again, if you have really deep transformational projects, you know, the whole childbearing thing, if you got that sort of teetering constantly in this indecisiveness, there's so many ways that this lack of being connected to your taboo, on top is taboo, underneath is your raw primal self. When you're not connected to it, so much happens above it that sucks so much of your energy, decision making, taking years to make decisions about shit that you could decide in an hour. Your womanhood, your primal raw self will take you everywhere that you most want to go. So I'm going to have that link for you to get Heal Your Witch Wound in the description. And I'll tell you now, it's naimasingletary.com/witch wound. naimasingletary.com/witch wound. All right. See you soon.